All right, and welcome to another Indy Investor Pod. We're kind of doing a little special episode today here with Brett and myself, and we just need to kind of talk about what's going on in Indianapolis with the coronavirus. So we thought it was important to just kind of dig into it today, kind of talk about where the city stands right now, what's going on, just with all the different businesses, different and investment opportunities, everything like that in Indianapolis. Maybe what we think might happen. And just kind of dig into it a little bit. So, really, thank you for joining us today. And with that, let's go ahead and get on with the show. All right. So, welcome to another Indie Investor Pod. We got Brett Snodgrass and myself. I'm Brian Snyder, and we're really just kind of digging into kind of what's going on here in Indianapolis during this. It's crazy time. What's going on with the coronavirus? So it's just kind of crazy. So I'm a big sports fan, and just kind of I know this is very small in the picture of what's going on right now, but I just look at it. I relate it to kind of what has happened within a week in this and just in the sports industry here. So I remember last Monday we were sitting here talking about LeBron just had a great game against the Bucks and another great game against the Clippers and like how he's going to take over the West. A week later, there's no basketball at all. So it's kind of crazy of what's going on here. So and just like we look at it as how it's affected our city. So, Big Ten tournament canceled, which was here in Indianapolis. All the other sports, all the other events. There's events that were at the convention center that were closed down here in Indianapolis and stuff too. And just as of Monday here in Indianapolis, the day before St. Patty's Day, all bars, restaurants, everything like that is closed too, except for takeout orders. So it's just kind of crazy of Brett, like, man, it's kind of, we've seen this whirlwind of the last week and we really don't even know what's kind of that next step. I know in Pennsylvania, they just said we're basically not all essential businesses are closed. So we don't know if that's going to happen here in Indianapolis. You can anticipate that it probably is going to, because I know Ohio is talking about it as well. But man, let's just get your first thoughts on kind of what you just think of just this whirlwind that we've seen in the last week.
Yeah, Brian, it's pretty crazy, man. Literally a week ago today, I think we were talking about it with my family, and I was talking to some other people about the coronavirus, and I actually kind of thought it was just a joke. I was like, well, this isn't going to affect that much, but since then, literally in just 5-6 days, we've seen so many different things happen across the world and the nation, and including Indianapolis. And you mentioned first the Big Ten tournament closed, and that was huge news. And Indianapolis was hosting the Big Ten tournament. I was reading an article about the money lost because of the different businesses around Indianapolis downtown with the Big Ten tournament closing. Is about $15 million lost there. Indianapolis also was one of the hosts of one of the tournaments with the NCAA. With that closing, NCAA getting canceled, about 20 million there losing. The bars and restaurants are kind of freaking out because yesterday, literally, they closed down those, and it's just really just a fear of uncertainty right now. And for me, I'm a calm person, and I'm still calm, honestly, with our business because I know Indianapolis is a great city, and we have an amazing nation, and we have leaders that are obviously making decisions that they feel is the best interest of the country. And even though there might be a short time, which there will be a short time, that this coronavirus is going to affect every single person. And right now, I feel like we're writing history with it, even whether you think it's a big deal or not. It is a big deal because it's affecting so many businesses and so many people. And we're definitely going to talk about that on this show, on what we're doing to prepare. And we want to give you guys advice that as investors of Indianapolis, what you can do to prepare as well for this. And but yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah, definitely. That's kind of the thing of like people kind of. I think some people are still kind of in denial and everything. Like it's here, it's happening. Everybody has to take action in some way to try to figure out kind of what they're going to do to figure that out. So let's just take a look at this from the investment side of what investors. That's what we do this pod for. That's what we want to talk about when it comes to just Indianapolis real estate investing in general and stuff. So let's get into kind of a little bit of how this is affecting the real estate market so far here in Indianapolis. Um, and as of right now, it's kind of one of those things of like, oh, it hasn't really affected us yet. We're still getting properties under contract. We're still selling properties. We have 3 properties that we're supposed to close on today. Like that's all happening and stuff like that. But kind of that next step of, so when, that's, I guess I've had a ton of people reach out to me of like, oh, what are, are your out of state investors? Are they not, buying properties? Are they not, doing this or doing that? What about your in-state people? Are they, are you guys able to do walkthroughs? Are you like, some of that stuff has slowed down definitely a little bit. Like we're getting a little, some of the calls are a little bit more sparingly and stuff like that. Our acquisition guys, we're not able to go on as many walkthroughs as we usually do. I mean, that just makes sense. I don't want them going on walkthroughs and stuff like that. We're trying to do things virtually. We're trying to, have the tenants take pictures, maybe send them a gift card, or the homeowners take pictures and send them a gift card instead of trying to, arrange walkthroughs and things. We're going to do what we need to try to get into properties. Cause the thing of it is that people are falling on hard times right now too. And, a lot of times we are the solution for a lot of people that need to sell their house because they're already on hard times. There's already some kind of situation and stuff like that. And it is only going to probably possibly increase during times like this, of where there are people that are in situations where they need a solution and they need to possibly get out of their home or do something. So we are in that solution. We're looking at properties. We're still putting properties under contract. We're still looking to buy as many properties as we can to help people out, help homeowners out to get out of their home, and also just help our investors out to make sure we have good investments for our investors to go for. As far as the buy side, or the sell side for us, the buy side for our investors, people are still getting properties under contracts. We're still, people are still interested in houses. Still, people are still looking to do things. So it's kind of one of those things right now when you see the stock market just completely just like super roller coaster. We talk about the roller coaster
Worst
that
day in history. Yeah. Wow.
so it's like had like a couple of little peaks back up, but I mean, it's just continually falling and stuff like that. So you have a ton of people that are, taking money out of stocks, or not trusting the stock market anymore. And they are looking to invest in real estate. So, and a lot of people are like, oh man, I don't know whether this house looks like a good investment property for me, but I don't really know during these uncertain times if I should put well, it's that probably is probably not going to be there very long, because a lot of people are looking to invest in real estate right now because the stock market is so unstable and so crazy. So it's just another instance where real estate is such a great investment for people. So a lot of those people are snagging up those properties right now and stuff. So um, it's just one of those things when people are kind of going crazy and people seem like kind of unstable. Sometimes it's a good time to act, and you can kind of feel a little greedy for yourself. And when everything seems super hot and everybody's doing it, those are the things these are the times that you need to maybe like, oh, okay, I need to act rational, make sure I'm doing things correctly and stuff like that. So, yeah, so I think as far as the market goes right now, and what the Indy investment market is doing, everything's right on course. Like I said, we can't do our walkthroughs like usual, trying to do things virtually, but people are still buying and selling houses. Now I say that up until we don't know what's going to happen. Are the title companies going to have to close? Are, some of the banks and stuff like that, are they going to have to close too? So we're waiting to see what that happens. But until that point, we're going to buy and sell as many properties as we can. So I don't know, Brett, if you want to elaborate on that a little bit and just kind of talk about kind of what the market's doing right now in Indianapolis. And it seems like a good time to invest right now to me. So I'm in.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just so fortunate to be in Indianapolis. Number one, Midwest. It's still a great city of cash flow to invest, and as you mentioned, the stock market pummeled like yesterday. Had one of the worst days, I think the worst day actually ever in one day. And so it's a great time. It's a great time. The rents are still the same right now. The prices are still very similar. Nothing's changed there. It's just an uncertain time, number one. But I think the alternative, it's like, wow, you have some money. Where do you put it? Do you want to put it in the stock market right now? Well, obviously we know how that's going. Do you want to put it in a very safe, secured, and not get much interest on, a money market account or a CD? That's safe and fine, or buy some bonds. But, the Indianapolis real estate market is still a solid investment. It's still a great cash flow market. So if you're out of state or in state, it's You can still get 1% rules. You can still get 2% rules. And I don't think that has changed. What I will say is, as far as what I'm looking at and preparing for, um, some of the high appreciation neighborhoods, for example, and not to downplay any type of neighborhood, but an example would be some of those neighborhoods like Fountain Square or a Bates Hendricks neighborhood that really had skyrocketed. I'm a little bit more cautious, honestly, on those types of neighborhoods, on flips, high end flips. I might be a little bit more cautious if I'm a high end flipper. I would look at some different things as well. We're not that, but as far as those areas, when I'm looking at properties, I'm like, okay, what's going to happen if a high end flipper doesn't buy this, right? So those are some things that I'm kind of cautious with. But you talked about a couple different things, and number one, this is a great virtual business where with technology these days, we can do a lot of things that we couldn't do back in 10, 20 years ago. So hopefully, if things do close, a lot of people are working from home now, which is great. So as far as our business, that's great. It's like, well, we didn't have to shut the doors on a business. We work from home, so that's cool. So hopefully we can be able to do some things virtually as far as title companies. We'll see how that goes. But that's a good thing. And one thing I would recommend if you guys are listening to this is one thing it's going to affect is the tenant. So if you're a landlord out there, that's been a talk of what are you going to do if the tenants can't pay their rent, right? And some people are like, oh, I'm going to evict them. Well, it's not the nicest thing in the world, because they can't go to work, number one, and the evictions probably are going to back up. They're going to stop, so you can't do that. So I just kind of take the stance as, you know what, everyone's going through a difficult time right now, so let's all extend each other some grace, and let's just try to get through this together. And if a tenant of ours loses their job and they can't pay for a month, then let's just extend some grace. That's kind of the stance we're kind of taking on that as far as that goes.
Yeah, and I know, and we're going to actually record it today, but it'll air next week. We're going to have Sterling Davis on. We're going to talk about some of just the rental issues and some tenant things and stuff like that. So definitely check that out next week. But I do know that some of the states, some of the eviction courts have already closed in some of the states and stuff. So, or I think the city of Seattle like basically just came out and said, hey, there's no evictions until like this epidemic is over. Or this pandemic is over. So it's one of the things you need to look at and stuff. I know some of the good advice that I've seen kind of, so what people are doing when that tenant says, hey, I haven't been able to go to work, or, my job will close out or anything like that, just ask for some verification. A lot of jobs and a lot of employers will kind of give those people, a notice, a written notice or something like that, so they can send you a documentation. And somebody has documentation that they lost their job because of this. Like it's you can kind of make that decision of, okay, do I want to extend some grace, or do I want to, I want to help this person out in any way, or, can they pay double, like in, a couple months when it comes back, or can you put them on a payment plan, something like that. There's always different options that you can look at and stuff. And I think it's worth, problem solve around that with the tenants, because we're going to be probably in a scenario where the evictions are going to be way backed up if possible, or the eviction courts are even going to be closed. So, if you can say, oh, well, if you don't pay, I'm going to evict you, you might be putting yourself in a bad situation, because you might not be able to get them out of there in like 3 months anyway. So problem solving around those issues and trying to figure those things out. Like I said, even, do a payment plan, or, have them, pay it forward, or can they do something to clean up the house or something? I don't know, whatever you want to come up with. There's also always some alternatives to coming up with some things like that. So just be on the lookout for those things, and, keep your mind open, and talk to your tenants, and be careful, that kind of stuff. But yeah, Brett kind of, put it out there as one of the things of being able to be careful of those, like, the high end flips and stuff like that. Is something, if you are in the market too, and you are buying direct from seller, I think it's one of the things that you need to keep in mind too, of the people who are like, oh no, well, the real estate market is super hot right now and I need top dollar, and Zillow says my property's worth this. Those days might be over. So,
Within last week.
yeah. So, I mean, you can kind of let that, not necessarily you're not doing it to take advantage of somebody or anything like that, but you're put in a situation where, no, I'm sorry, the stock market's going down, the real estate market's changing right now. We're in that process. So, what you think your home value is worth, if you sell now, you may be able to get close to that out of it. If you sell in a month from now, you have no idea what it's going to be like too. So if you're buying direct from seller, I mean, that might be a good, kind of sticking point when you're putting that number out there, like, nope, this is where I'm willing to buy. Are you willing to accept this right now? Because you don't know what's going to happen in the next month or two. So something to keep in mind as well. I think it's really important. So I know something like that. If you are, I'll just kind of speak for our company a little bit, and I know a lot of other companies do this as well. So you can always ask for this, but when we put out a property, when we're marketing a property, we have walkthrough videos, we have two-dimensional floor plans, stuff like that. So if you do need to, if you can't necessarily like get into it yourself because you can't travel or you don't want to go out, in public and stuff like that, definitely look at, check out those videos, check out the 2D imaging and stuff like that we have available for our properties, because it's a good way to see kind of what's going on with the property. You can't necessarily get there in person. So, yeah. Brett, what else do you have to add about just this coronavirus and what's going on here, man?
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, we just talked about kind of what's going on. Obviously, it's a big deal. Things are changing every single day. So we're going to see what's happening today. I don't know what announcements they're going to make, but some things that we're doing that we can prepare, right? Number one is it doesn't help to worry. I actually had a conversation with Brian about this. Don't worry about we're not worrying, we're not freaking out, we're not doing that. So we're just trying to strategically problem solve, and that's really all this business is okay, yeah, we have something going on, and what do we need to do? How do we need to prepare for this? And what do we need to start doing? What do we need to stop doing? Things like that. Communicate. I think communication, if you have a business, with your team, with your property managers, with your contractors, with your tenants, right? You communicate with everyone, with lenders. It's just really important to communicate, to let people know where you're at. What are some of the expectations? Things are a little bit different now. So I sent a message out to some private lenders that we had a couple of days ago, just letting them know where we were at, and we're solid, and we had a couple of record months in January and February, which really has helped us out. So we're sitting in a really good spot right now, but just communication is key. I talked about having grace with people during these certain times. And then one thing, we're preparing for the worst. So again, it's kind of uncertain. So we're preparing for the worst, but hoping for the best. And how we're preparing is we're tracking spending. So I talked to Brian, and it's like, we really need to track every single dollar over these next few months. There can't be a lot of waste, right? So making sure every dollar counts, being intentional with every single dollar that we spend,
This
being
is where Brett
clean.
gets really happy that I'm having a bunch of like virtual meetings and not going out to lunches and stuff like that.
That's right. Be clean. Obviously, that's given. Wash your hands and tighten up the ship. So, like we talked about that, and just don't do anything crazy right now. Obviously, I don't think I'm really to say that, but it's not a time to go out and do something uh, just crazy, putting all your money in one huge flip investments, and it's just not a time to do that, right? So that's some things that we're doing. And if you have cash, if you have reserves, and it's a great time for you, right? I mean, people that are sitting on some cash on the sidelines, it's an amazing time, not with what's going on, but you know people in 2008, people got really hurt, and some people made a fortune, right? So and it kind of depends on where you're at on that fence, being prepared. So there's some things that we're doing, and hopefully it helps you guys out.
So awesome, Brett. Thanks. Yeah. So just kind of like final words here and stuff like that. Just kind of sum this up. We're still, we'll do some more updates as we need to and stuff like this on the, we'll do another pod if we definitely need to, on just kind of updates and letting you guys know kind of what's going on here in the city of Indianapolis. But as of right now, it's kind of business as usual. Not too many people out walking around, out checking out properties and stuff like that, but do a lot of virtual things and stuff. So let us know if we can do anything to help you, or anything that you need, especially if you are out of state and can't get over here or anything like that. Be willing to help, or just reach out and ask us questions. If you guys do have any questions about anything that you'd like us to cover on a future pod or anything like that, or jump on and do a quick episode, we definitely can. That's always available. But when it comes down to kind of what all this stuff is, really it comes down to just staying calm and not freaking out and not doing anything completely irrational in these situations. Making sure that you have a level head, making sure you know what you're doing and you're comfortable with what you're doing. Talk to people that are close to you. Talk to the people that you trust, and that's how you make decisions. And that's where you're going to be the best of this time. These are times where we all need to kind of tighten up our bootstraps a little bit, but just be and that means really just coming into making sure we're sure what we're doing with our money and what we're doing with our thoughts, making sure we're certain on what we want to do and we're intentional about doing those things. So it is a good time to still buy and still sell here in Indianapolis and stuff, depending on what side of the investment you're looking to do. So just be careful of that. And I think that's about it. Brett, you have any final thoughts or anything, man?
I think just make sure you get your TP, toilet paper. I think that's about it. So no, that's about it. But thank you guys so much. Look forward to talking with you. If you have any other questions, please reach out to Brian Snyder on Facebook or Brett Snodgrass on Facebook. Just message us, and we'd love to chat with you about it.
All right. Sounds good. Later, guys.